At 85, Paul Hogan finally talks about Linda Kozlowski. Paul Hogan was born on October 8, 1939, in a small mining town called Lightning Ridge in New South Wales, Australia. This area was known for finding opals and having tough, rough land. Growing up in country Australia during the 1940s, right after World War II, when times were hard, his life was totally different from the famous life he would have later. Not much information is out there about his parents or what his childhood was really like, which has always made his early life story kind of mysterious. Hogan liked to keep his family life private and would rather talk about his career and his funny comedy personality instead. This mystery about his younger years made fans even more curious about him, and it let them see him as just a regular, hard-working Australian guy who became famous even though the odds were against him. When Hogan was young, he got a job as a rigger on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is one of Australia's most famous landmarks. The work was really tough physically, and you had to be super brave, because you were climbing around and balancing on steel beams way up high above the water. This experience made Hogan tougher, but it also changed how he saw life. His time working as a rigger kept him connected to everyday Australian people who worked long, hard hours doing difficult jobs. Later on, this realness became one of the main things that made his comedy special. He never seemed fake or snobby, and his humor really connected with ordinary people because it showed their own lives back to them with kindness and lots of laughs. Hogan's entertainment career started kind of by accident. In 1971, when he went on an Australian TV show called New Faces, it was a talent show where people who wanted to perform could show what they could do. Instead of doing what most people did, like singing or dancing, Hogan did something different. He made the judges and audience laugh with his quick jokes and his own special comedy style. His playful, down-to-earth humor that he told with a fun Australian charm immediately clicked with people watching. This first appearance started an amazing career, showing that Hogan was really good at making people laugh and had a natural ability to perform on stage that would soon make him super famous across the whole country. Excited by his new fame, Hogan started his own show called The Paul Hogan Show, where he was the star but also wrote it and produced it. The show ran through most of the 1970s and was a funny sketch comedy series that made fun of Australian society, weird cultural habits, and how people act in general. Hogan's creativity and his hands-on work on the show made him stand out. He wasn't just someone performing, he was a complete entertainer who created the content from beginning to end. The show was super popular, loved not only in Australia but in other countries too, especially in South Africa, where people found his humor easy to relate to. In 1973, Hogan's growing fame and popularity were officially noticed when he won the TV Week Logie Award for Best New Talent, which proved his place in the Australian entertainment business. Hogan moved from TV to movies in the early 1980s. His first movie role was in 1980, with a small part in the Australian film Fatty Finn, a family movie set in the 1930s. Even though it was a tiny role, it introduced him to people who watched movies. He followed this with a bigger role in the TV miniseries Anzacs in 1985, where he played a character named Lance Corporal Pat Cleary. The series, which showed the courage and sacrifices of Australian soldiers during World War I, gave Hogan a chance to show he could do dramatic acting too, proving he was more than just a comedian. But it was in 1986 that Hogan really made his mark around the world. He helped write the script for and starred in Crocodile Dundee, a movie directed by Peter Falk. In it, Hogan played Michael J. Crocodile Dundee, a tough and charming outdoorsman from the Australian bush who travels to New York City and has to deal with a world completely different from his own. The movie was made without spending too much money, less than $10 million, but it really connected with people all over the world. With its mix of comedy, adventure, and romance, plus Hogan's magnetic performance, the movie became a huge hit at the box office, making hundreds of millions of dollars around the globe. It wasn't just successful money-wise, it also won over critics who loved Hogan's natural charm and the film's fun but smart way of showing cultural differences. For his work in Crocodile Dundee, Hogan got recognition from all over the world. He won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical Movie, and he was nominated for both the BAFTA Award and an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. This was an incredible achievement for someone who had started his career working on a bridge. Hogan had officially become a famous name, not just in Australia, but all around the world. The success of the first movie led to a sequel, Crocodile Dundee 2. In 1988, while it did well money-wise, making impressive box office numbers, critics weren't as excited about it, often saying it wasn't as good as the original. Hogan, though, kept working on his career, starring in other movies like the 1990 comedy drama Almost an Angel, which sadly didn't impress critics or audiences. The same thing happened with his 1994 Western comedy Lightning Jack, which got bad reviews and didn't sell many tickets. showing that he was going through a tough time in his movie career. Hogan's career had more problems in 1996 when the movie Flipper came out, a family film directed by Alan Shapiro. Even though Hogan's performance as the main character was praised for being warm and likable, the film itself didn't make much money, only making $20 million when it cost $25 million to make. Critics said the story wasn't believable, but the movie did get some award nominations, showing that Hogan's talent still showed through even when the movies themselves weren't great. In 1998, he was in the film Floating Away, but that one also failed to bring back his earlier box office success. In 2001, Hogan came back to his most famous role with Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, while fans were interested to see him play Michael Dundee again. The film wasn't as successful as the earlier ones and ended up being the last movie in the series. The magic of the original just couldn't be brought back, and it became clear that Dundee's moment in culture had passed. Even with these struggles, Hogan kept working in movies, appearing in Strange Bedfellows in 2004, a comedy about two men pretending to be a gay couple to cheat on taxes, and Charlie in Boots in 2009, a road trip comedy about a father and son reconnecting after something tragic happens. Both films got okay responses, but showed that Hogan could still play characters that people liked and related to. In recent years, Hogan has mostly stepped away from acting, choosing a quieter life after spending decades in the spotlight. Still, he made occasional appearances, like his guest spot on Adam Hill's Tonight in 2013, reminding audiences of the humor and charm that made him a star in the first place. Paul Hogan's story is one of not giving up, humor, and change. From working as a rigger on the Sydney Harbour Bridge to being an international movie star and award-winning writer, his story shows the Australian spirit of determination and fun charm. Even though his later career had ups and downs, Hogan is still forever celebrated as the guy who brought Crocodile Dundee to life, a character who became a cultural icon and helped introduce Australian humor and storytelling to the world. Paul Hogan's personal life has been full of relationships that got just as much public attention as his acting career. His first marriage was to Noelle Edwards in way before he became a famous name in Australia or an international star. At that time, Hogan was just starting his adult life, working as a rigger on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and his marriage to Noelle showed a more traditional and private side of his early years. Together, the couple built a family and went through Hogan's journey from being unknown to being famous, dealing with the pressures of public life once he became a comedian and later, a movie star. Their marriage lasted for over 20 years, a long time during which Hogan's career started to take off. But in 1981, after more than 20 years together, they separated and got divorced. The split surprised a lot of people, since Hogan's public image was often connected to being a devoted family man. What happened next was even more unexpected. In less than a year, Hogan and Edwards got married again. Their getting back together created a lot of media interest and people talking about it. Many people thought that Hogan's attempt to fix his first marriage showed how deep his connection with Edwards was and his commitment to keeping his family together. However, the second marriage didn't last. By 1986, the couple divorced again, and this time, the separation was much more dramatic and public. It became widely known as one of Australia's ugliest celebrity divorces, with heated arguments and lots of media coverage. Their breakup put Hogan under intense public watching as the actor's private life became something for gossip and fascination across Australia and other countries. After his split from Noelle, Hogan's love life again made headlines when he fell in love with his Crocodile Dundee co-star, Linda Kozlowski. The two had obvious chemistry on screen, which turned into a real-life romance. In 1990, Hogan married Kozlowski, making official what many saw as a classic Hollywood love story, an actor falling for his co-star while working on a film that became a huge hit. Worldwide. Their marriage got international attention as the couple represented the glamour